Donald Trump may be a world of chaos all by himself, but the world beyond Trump is changing in dramatic ways, often with little notice. We'd like to tell you about it, and we're keeping track of these global changes, from the incremental to the monumental, so that you don't have to. Sign up for our weekly newsletter of the biggest news in the world delivered to your inbox every Sunday. Spain, October 20, 2017. Spain wants to trigger nuclear option to block Catalonia independence. The Spanish government plans to dissolve Catalonia's parliament and hold fresh elections there in January to thwart the region's bid for independence, an opposition politician said Friday. Carmen Calvo, a Socialist Party lawmaker who is participating in cross-party talks on the crisis, told Spanish broadcaster RTV that the opposition would back the Spanish government in calling for fresh elections in January. The government said Thursday that it had decided to suspend the rest of region's autonomy under Article 155 of the country's constitution, after Catalonia President Carles Puigdemont refused to drop his push for independence. But the article, which allows the government to use all measures necessary to compel a region to abide by the law, has never been used before, and it has been unclear exactly how the government plans to enact it. Calvo said that the socialist leader Pedro Sanchez was absolutely clear that invoking Article 155 means Catalonia must hold elections. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, who has called a special cabinet meeting Saturday to begin the process, is seeking broad political consensus before he invokes Article 155, considered the nuclear option in resolving the crises. The region is braced for mass demonstrations against any move to strip Catalonian autonomy. At a news conference in Brussels Friday, Rajoy defended his government's handling of the crisis, saying the actions of the Catalan regional government had left him no option but to impose direct rule. His government has been locked in a prolonged standoff with the Catalan leader, who has refused to comply with Madrid's demand to drop his push for independence. Catalan authorities say about 90% of participants in an October 1 referendum vote for independence, but only 43% of eligible voters took part. Many opposed to independence boycotted the vote, which had been declared unconstitutional by a Spanish court. Tim Hume Australia, October 20, 2017. Private U.S. firm to start fresh search for flight MH370. A U.S. company is restarting the search for the wreckage of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 on a no-find, no-fee basis, 1,323 days after it was lost. An Australian lawmaker confirmed Thursday that the private seabed exploration company Ocean Infinity had entered into an agreement with the Malaysian government to search for the missing plane, which disappeared between Kuala Lumpur and Beijing with 239 people on board. The Malaysian government has accepted an offer from Ocean Infinity to search for the missing plane, entering into a no-find, no-fee arrangement, said Darren Chester, Australia's Minister for Infrastructure and Transport. The disappearance of Flight MH370 on March 8, 2014, remains one of aviation's great mysteries. More than $155 million was spent on the previous search before it was suspended in January after probing 120,000 square kilometers without success. Chester said Australia would provide technical assistance for the new mission, which will focus on 25,000 square km identified by the Australian Transport Safety Bureau as having a high probability of containing the aircraft. In its final report earlier this month, the Bureau said it was almost inconceivable that the aircraft had not been found. David Gilbert, Malawi, October 19, 2017. Mobs in Malawi have killed 6 people for being vampires. Malawi President Arthur Peter Mutharika addresses the 72nd United Nations General Assembly at UN headquarters in New York, U.S., September 20, 2017. Reuters. Lucas Jackson. Malawi mobs killed 2 people accused of being vampires Thursday, the latest in a series of bizarre attacks that have already claimed the lives of 6 people since September. Widespread belief in witchcraft pervades Malawi, one of the poorest countries in the world. A United Nations Department of Safety and Security report, covered by Reuters earlier this month, specifies that the rumors of vampirism likely began in the neighboring country of Mozambique, though it's unclear why the rumors emerged at all. The outbreak in vampire-related violence already led the United Nations to pull staff out of 2 southern Malawi districts earlier this month. Some NGOs in the area also purportedly took their staff out of the area, as villagers had started setting up roadblocks to catch so-called vampires. These districts have severely been affected by the ongoing stories of blood-sucking and possible existence of vampires, the United Nations report reads. Malawi government also recently set up a nightly curfew, from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. local time, in order to prevent vampirism-related violence. President Peter Mutharika said in a statement that the issue was of grave concern to his office. Thursday's mob violence took place in Blantyre, Malawi's second biggest city. A national police spokesperson told Reuters that mobs torched a 22-year-old epileptic man in Chileka, and another man was stoned to death after being suspected of being a bloodsucker. Carter Sherman, Washington, October 19, 2017. Tillerson scolds China for not playing by international rules. Rex Tillerson blasted China for challenging rules-based order during a Wednesday speech in Washington, accusing Beijing of undermining the sovereignty of its neighbors. The Secretary of State's remarks came a day after President Xi Jinping boasted China was ready to take center stage in the world, and 3 weeks before Donald Trump visits the Middle Kingdom. China, while rising alongside India, has done so less responsibly, at times undermining the international rules-based order, Tillerson said during an address at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in the capital. The top U.S. diplomat, who will visit India next week, also praised the subcontinent as a vital U.S. partner. "We'll never have the same relationship with China, a non-democratic society," he said. Washington seeks a more constructive relationship with Beijing, Tillerson continued, but it will not shrink from China's challenges to the rules-based order and where China subverts the sovereignty of neighboring countries and disadvantages the U.S. and our friends. Tillerson rebuked China's construction of islands in the South China Sea, and accused Beijing of acting in a predatory fashion when lending money to regional partners, saddling them with enormous levels of debt. On Wednesday, President Xi opened the 19th Communist Party Congress claiming that China had entered a new era and was now ready to take center stage in the world and to make a greater contribution to humankind. Tim Hume, Iran, October 19, 2017. Iran halts execution of 17-year-old boy. Iran has halted the execution of Emir Hossein Pourjafar, a convicted child rapist who was sentenced to death when he was just 16 years old. Pourjafar, now 17, was scheduled to be hanged in a Tehran jail on Thursday, but late Wednesday night authorities postponed his execution, Amnesty International told Vice News, until they receive further orders from the judiciary. A rare bit of good human rights news from Iran. This execution was halted late last night. It could be rescheduled at any time though. https://Quadlerge News from Amnesty at News from Amnesty October 19, 2017. Pourjafar would have been the fifth person executed in Iran this year for crimes committed when under the age of 18, something strictly prohibited by the Convention on the Rights of the Child. The UN estimates that Pourjafar is one of almost 90 people on death row in Iran for crimes committed as children. Pourjafar was convicted in September 2016 of the murder and rape of a 7-year-old girl, with the court saying he had attained mental maturity at the time of the crime. Amnesty says Iranian authorities are misleading the public by claiming the execution was lawful because according to the lunar Islamic calendar he was 18 years old rather than 17. The authorities rushed to send a child to the gallows in order to placate public anger as short-sighted and misguided. Magdalena Mughrabi, Amnesty International's Middle East and North Africa Deputy Director, said. David Gilbert, Russia, October 18, 2017. Russia's Paris Hilton is running for president. Russian TV personality Ksenia Sobchak announced her intention to challenge Vladimir Putin in Russia's presidential elections. Picture taken October 17, 2017. Reuters. Sergei Karpyshyn, a Russian TV personality once dubbed the bronzed Slavic version of Paris Hilton, announced Wednesday that she's running for president against Vladimir Putin. Ksenia Sobchak has little chance of winning against Putin in next year's election. Not only do polls indicate that Putin will win by a comfortable margin, but critics worry that Sobchak is only running as part of a Kremlin ploy to divide the opposition vote. Her father was the former mayor of St. Petersburg, and helped get Putin his first job in politics. Sobchak is best known as the host of the reality show Dom 2, a Russian version of MTV's The Real World. Now, however, she works as an anchor for TV Rain, an independent media outlet, and said she wants to run because she's tired of always seeing the same candidates in elections. When I was 18 and was studying in university, Vladimir Putin became president of Russia. Children who were born that year will go and vote themselves this year, she said in a video posted Wednesday. Just think about that. Carter Sherman, Beijing, October 18, 2017. Xi Jinping says China will take center stage in the world. China will take center stage in the world, according to President Xi Jinping, who outlined his vision for the country in a 3.5-hour speech at the opening of the 19th Communist Party Congress in Beijing Wednesday. Xi Jinping, flanked by Hu Zhang, kicks off 19-party Congress. Pic.twitter.com ij3 Anand Krishnan at Anand Krishnan October 18, 2017 touting the triumph of socialism, albeit with Chinese characteristics. She said China had crossed the threshold into a new era during remarks aimed at cementing his position at the top of the regime. It is time for us to take center stage in the world and to make a greater contribution to humankind, he said. Pledging to build a modern socialist country by 2035, she said China would not mechanically copy the political systems of other countries, and even took a veiled swipe at President Donald Trump, who recently withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Accord. No country can alone address the many challenges facing mankind. No country can afford to retreat into self-isolation, she said. At the week-long meeting, 2,300 Communist Party members will select its leadership and its policies for the next 5 years, with Xi likely to be approved for a second 5-year term. During the address, she also highlighted China's modernization, though no mention was made of the unprecedented crackdown on free speech and dissidents. David Gilbert, Afghanistan, October 17, 2017 Taliban launched crippling attacks inside Afghanistan police headquarters. Afghan National Army soldiers during a military exercise in Kabul, Afghanistan, Tuesday, October 17, 2017. AP photo. Masood Hosseini. Taliban soldiers stormed multiple Afghan security compounds Tuesday, killing at least 71 people, local officials said. The deadliest attack took place at police headquarters and a police training facility in Paktia province, where 41 people were killed and another 150 were injured. The Taliban attackers disguised themselves using a stolen security vehicle, and once inside, detonated a number of explosives stored in the vehicle. Others, armed with RPG and AK-47s, then entered the compound and started shooting. Special police units ultimately overpowered the attackers, a statement from the Deputy Interior Minister said. Read more. U.S. troops will face the deadliest Taliban yet. A Taliban spokesperson claimed the Paktia attack on Twitter, explaining that the attack was meant to take out the police unit, which houses up to 450 officers. Several officers and recruits were among the casualties, including the police chief for the Paktia city of Gardez, Special Bridge, Paktia's deputy governor told a Turkish state-run news agency. The Taliban spokesperson also claimed responsibility for car bombings inside a security compound in the nearby Ghazni province, which killed another 30 people and wounded at least 15 more. Many of the dead and injured were police officers. This isn't the first time this year that the Taliban has launched deadly attacks inside Afghan security grounds. In April, 10 suicide attackers disguised as soldiers entered an Afghan army base in the northern city of Mazar-e-Sharif and killed 140 soldiers. It was one of the deadliest terror attacks the county had experienced in recent years. Carter Sherman, Indonesia, October 17, 2017 Indonesia's drug czar says killing dealers saves money. Killing a drug dealer is a real money saver, Indonesia's drug czar said last week, because it removes the cost of jail food. Speaking to reporters, Budi Waseso, who heads Indonesia's National Narcotics Agency, said his agents are instructed not to hesitate to shoot to kill if they have to, because if drug offenders go to jail they get free meals, which are paid for by the state. Indonesia's authorities have adopted many of the hardline tactics of President Rodrigo Duterte's drugs war in recent years, with Waseso heaping praise on the Philippine strongman. Having declared the life of a drug dealer meaningless in 2016, Waseso hailed Duterte's lethal campaign in July, claiming the president is taking care of his citizens. Duterte's drugs war has killed an estimated 12,000 people in 15 months. Indonesia has seen a sharp rise in drug dealer deaths at the hands of the police. Some 49 deaths were reported in the first 6 months of 2017, compared to 14 in all of 2016, and just 10 in 2015. A University of Melbourne analysis estimates that a third of these killings happen after the suspect has surrendered to police. Human Rights Watch called on the government to fire any officers who flout the rule of law. As long as senior police officials such as Waseso are allowed to advocate extrajudicial executions as an acceptable crime control solution, there is a serious risk that police will interpret those exhortations as a license to kill. Thalam Kine, the deputy director of HRW's Asia Division, said. David Gilbert, Malta, October 16, 2017 Reporter who investigated Panama Papers killed in car bomb. The wreckage of the car of investigative journalist Daphne Caruana Galizia lies next to a road in the town of Mosta, Malta, Monday, October 16, 2017. AP photo. In Rosigno. Daphne Caruana Galizia, a journalist who relentlessly investigated corruption in her home country of Malta, was killed Monday afternoon in a car bomb outside her home. One of Malta's leading politicians has called it political murder motivated by her reporting. "What happened today is not an ordinary killing," said Adrian Delia, a leader of Malta's political opposition. Galizia was perhaps most famous for her reporting linking Prime Minister Joseph Muscat, his wife, and several associates to the Panama Papers, a trove of documents detailing several heads of state's connections to secret offshore shell companies in Panama. Galizia alleged that Muscat's wife, Michelle, owned one of these companies, and that the company had received a series of payments from an account linked to the government of Azerbaijan. Muscat and his associates denied any wrongdoing, but that didn't dampen Galizia's international prominence. Her blog, Running Commentary, was regularly read by 400,000 people, even though just 420,000 people live on Malta. Earlier this year, Politico dubbed Galizia a one-woman WikiLeaks, crusading against untransparency and corruption in Malta, an island nation famous for both. Muscat has condemned Galizia's death, calling it a barbaric attack on a person and on the freedom of expression in our country. But Adrian Delia, Muscat's main opposition, went further, calling it a consequence of the total collapse of the rule of law which has been going on for the past 4 years. Police said they are investigating the incident as a murder. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, 27 journalists have died in 2017 while doing their jobs. Of the 1,255 reporters who've been killed since 1992, nearly 600 covered politics, and another 255 focused on exposing corruption. Carter Sherman, Spain, October 16, 2017. Spain just jailed 2 Catalan independence leaders on sedition charges. Jordi Cuixart, president of the Catalan Òmnium cultural organization, left, and Jordi Sánchez, president of the Catalan National Assembly, waved to supporters on arrival at the National Court in Madrid, Spain, Monday, October 16, 2017. AP photo. Francisco Sacaway, Spanish judge, jailed 2 leaders of the Catalan independence movement Monday on charges of sedition, the BBC reported, in a move that will likely only worsen a national crisis that has pitted the Spanish government against one of its wealthiest regions. Jordi Sánchez and Jordi Cuixart are now being held without bail for their alleged role in orchestrating Catalonia's October 1 vote for independence, which Madrid deemed illegal. Specifically, the pair stand accused of having organized a September Siega-like protest that trapped law enforcement officers in Catalan government offices, and destroyed police vehicles. Sánchez and Cuixart, who respectively lead the pro-independence groups the Catalan National Assembly and Òmnium Cultural, refused to answer the judge's questions about their actions, despite being brought into court twice. The same Spanish judge reportedly released Catalonia's regional police chief and a colleague on Monday, after the judge questioned the chief about being too lax towards separatists prior to the October 1 vote. The chief was also facing potential sedition charges, though they ultimately did not materialize. In videos recorded before their detention, Sánchez and Cuixart asked supporters to continue to peacefully demonstrate. Workers are set to strike Tuesday at noon, while people are planning to protest at the Madrid government's Catalonian headquarters on Tuesday evening, the Associated Press reported. Carles Puigdemont, Catalonia's separatist leader, called the jailing very bad news, but failed to clarify his quixotic position regarding the region's independence. Spain jails Catalonia's civil society leaders for organizing peaceful demonstrations. Sadly, we have political prisoners again. Carles Puigdemont at KRLS. October 16, 2017. Puigdemont signed a declaration of independence for the region last Tuesday, but has since said that the declaration would be suspended so that his group could negotiate with Madrid. This has not pleased Spain's President Mariano Rajoy, who has declined such talks and repeatedly demanded Puigdemont clarify whether his regional government officially declared independence or not. Puigdemont blew off Rajoy's 10 a.m. Monday deadline. However, Carter Sherman, Mogadishu, October 16, 2017. Somalia suffers the deadliest terror attack in its history. Somalis gather and search for survivors by destroyed buildings at the scene of a blast in the capital Mogadishu, Somalia, Saturday, October 14, 2017. AP photo. Farah Abdi, Warsaw, May. More than 300 people were killed by Saturday's truck bomb that hit the Somali capital of Mogadishu, officials said Monday. A further 300 victims are seriously injured in the worst terror attack in the country's turbulent history. The Somali government has blamed al-Shabaab for the attack, but there has so far been no claim of responsibility by the Islamist terror group. The lorry, packed with explosives, detonated near the entrance of a hotel in the center of the capital. The surrounding streets were packed with cars in a traffic jam. Officials announced Monday more victims had died of their wounds, pushing the death toll above 300. It is expected to rise again. Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, a U.S. citizen, called the attack a heinous act and declared 3 days of mourning. Today's horrific attack proves our enemy would stop at nothing to cause our people pain and suffering. Let's unite against terror, he said. Al-Shabaab, which has terrorized the region for a decade, vowed earlier this year to step up attacks after the Trump administration promised a renewed military effort against the group. David Gilbert, Spain, October 16, 2017. Catalonia independence leader just ignored Spain's ultimatum. The Catalan president has brushed aside an ultimatum from Madrid to clarify whether his region declared independence last week and called again for talks to resolve the crisis. The Spanish government had given Carles Puigdemont a deadline of 10 a.m. local time Monday 4 a.m. ET to explain whether a speech he delivered to the regional parliament last week amounted to a declaration of independence from Spain. Puigdemont signed a unilateral declaration of independence last Tuesday, which said that the October 1 referendum in the wealthy northeast region had created a mandate for an independent state. But he then said the effects of the declaration would be suspended for a few weeks to allow for talks with Madrid. Puigdemont's response to Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy Monday did little to clarify his position. The suspension on our side of the results that come out of the vote on October 1 shows our firm commitment to find a solution and avoid confrontation, Puigdemont wrote. Our call for dialogue is sincere and honest. That is why over the next 2 months our main objective is to invite you to have dialogue. The Spanish government responded Monday by reiterating it would refuse to engage in any talks with Catalonia until its leaders dropped their push for independence, which is illegal under the country's constitution. Spain's Deputy Prime Minister Soraya Sáenz de Santamaría said that the rest of the region had until Thursday to back down on its push for independence, or it would face the imposition of direct rule from Madrid. No one is denying him the chance for dialogue. But dialogue has to be carried out within the law, she said, adding that Madrid deeply regrets Catalonia's decision not to clarify its position. Spain has been plunged into a constitutional crisis by the October 1 referendum, which Catalan authorities held in defiance of a ban by a Spanish court, and amid scenes of violence as police attempted to block voters from polling booths. Catalan authorities say about 90% of voters backed independence, although only 43% of eligible voters took part, with many opposed to independence staying away. Tim Hume, Bangladesh, October 16, 2017. Rohingya refugees face catastrophe after escape from Myanmar. Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. Fatima Cotton escaped unimaginable horror in Myanmar, fleeing her home in the northern Rakhine state after government forces raided her village and killed her husband. She crossed the Naf River with her 4 young children in mid-September, finally safe from the systematic killings and torture that brought her here. But now she's facing another crisis, keeping her children fed and healthy in squalid refugee camps vulnerable to the spread of infectious diseases like cholera and measles. I need food and basic necessities, she pleaded. I'm not getting enough help. Cotton is one of thousands of Rohingya refugees struggling in the makeshift camps scattered throughout Cox's Bazar, a fishing district on the Bangladesh-Myanmar border. Aid agencies warn that there will be a humanitarian catastrophe if conditions here don't improve immediately. Roads that run through the refugee camps are littered with discarded donated clothing. Laurel Chor for Vice News. Read more. Rohingya refugees face catastrophe after escape from Myanmar. Read Vice News Guide to the World, September.